Alice, and welcome to the first day of your Last 60 Best 60. Thank you so much for signing in and all the really great support that I've received just putting out this idea. It's really been something that I've thought about for many years and wanted to do, and finally this whole video format is pretty easy to do and share with a lot of people. Anyways, I wanted to welcome you to this program, and so for those of you who signed up, you'll get an email early, like on the morning of the day, and you'll have the video and any links or PDFs that I want to share with you. And otherwise you can just find me on YouTube and or social media, and I'll just post the days every day for the next 60 days. The first thing that I wanted to share with you today to get your 60 days going is to just take stock. And whatever you want to call that, take inventory, do a little life assessment, just give yourself some time today to take stock of what's going on with you. I have a few of my favorite techniques and I'll share those with you, but if you have a favorite technique and maybe it's just journaling or talking to a friend and actually measuring out through a scale 1 to 10, or find a partner who wants to do this with you and just like talk about like what's going on and just be really real. Because our best lives really come from working in and on our lives. Like a lot of those people who we see are so successful or have made a lot of progress in their careers, they don't get that just by going blindly through the motions. Really, they get that because they're really working on themselves and working on what they're up to. And I know that for me, I've done that a lot in my life. I've had a lot of coaches and psychotherapists and friends, and I'm always a part of a learning group or a mastermind that really helps me check in with what's really happening and what's going on. So I really encourage you to use tools, techniques, people, community, friends to help you to take stock and to take inventory on what's really going on with you. My two favorite tools, and I talk about them a lot. One is the Wheel of Life, and I've been using this for 20 years. I actually learned it with my women's group, some of whom I've invited to be part of this group, so we've been using it for a long time. And there's a link that I'll share with you that gives you an article that I wrote as well as the PDF to download this Wheel of Life. But you could just draw a circle and draw the spokes on the wheel, and you write down 10 to 12 categories of your life. And I would suggest family, relationships, friends, work life, adventure, passion, and creativity, and travel, adventure, different categories that are important to you. And the categories that are in the Wheel of Life that I share with you in the magazine and in the PDF are ones that are used a lot. And it's a great way to just score yourself from 1 to 10 in each of these categories so that you can see like, oh, I think that things are going pretty well, but if I really have to put a score to it, in fact, it's not as high as I thought, or it's higher than I thought. And in relationship or in comparison to other areas of my life, it's not as high as I'd like it for it to be, and vice versa. It's really pretty good. So it really gives you this objective tool to measure what's going on in your life. And I'll mention again a couple times throughout these 60 days to just check in and score yourself on what's going on. And taking inventory is just it's a beautiful practice. It's not easy. It's not easy to be real with ourselves, and I'll just put that out there. So find friends that you trust, that you can go through this process with, or just share like what your insight is. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm doing this process, last 60, best 60. You could just say, hey, I just was thinking, I'd really love to take a big adventure next year. And so by saying it to someone you care about, one, you're putting it out there with someone, and hopefully they'll keep you accountable or check in with you like, hey, how's the planning of your big adventure next year? And it also gives you kind of like a partner to work on, or someone to really share that passion or interest or some area that you want to see some change in. The second one, the tool, is really more of just a way of listening in to your life. I really encourage you to listen to what you're complaining about. And sometimes we know, if we just take some time and notice like what we're always saying, oh, this happened to me. And if we're saying that often, it's a complaint and it's probably dragging us down. Also, ask people around you what you're complaining about. And it could just be like a fun conversation and just say, hey, what do you hear me complaining about? And it can be, if you can put it out there as really curiosity, something you're seriously curious about, and or lightly, like funny, in a funny way, kind of curious about, I think people will give you honest but also necessary feedback. And just listen in on what you're complaining about, and just notice if there's anything that you're doing about that. Because if we're constantly complaining, for one thing, that's not going to make it better. So it's really being real with, what can I do to make this better so that I'm not complaining? And then secondly, like that constant dragging down of our energy is taking energy and our ability and mental possibility of putting that towards something really extraordinary and excitingly possible. Like that takes energy to create something new and something big and something different that excites us. So listen in on what our complaints are. And then from there, from any of those exercises or however you are taking inventory, and do it on paper, do it in a way that maybe takes 3 to 30 minutes, however how much time you have to do this, in a very serious way. And I want you to share that with at least one person, maybe a few people that are close to you, or even like your coaches, your therapists, your learning groups, and just say, hey, this is something I'm working on. Because it puts it out there that this is something you're aware of, changing, improving, magnifying, or create, refine, or improve on in your life. And that would really feel like putting that energy into the next 60 days, making your last 60 your best 60. The second thing I'd like for you to do is just to take 3 minutes to just close your eyes and think about what it would feel like to be at the last week of December. Maybe you're home with family at the holidays, or maybe you already have your holiday trip planned, and just imagine that you're sharing with someone that you really care about and who you know cares about you, and imagine that you're telling them about the last 60 days. And then just go ahead and like really take that in, like where are you going to be? Who is this person that you're telling, and what do they mean to you? And imagine the feeling of having accomplished something that in the last 60 days was really meaningful in your life. And just take some time, just really think about what that feeling, what that place, what that person, what that experience is going to be like. And then after you imagine that, write down in a present tense statement what it is that will happen. So I have plans to go to Europe in 2019, or I'm starting a new job on January 7th. It can be, I have my business plan in place for 2019 into 2020. Anything that you come up with, write it down, and I'll encourage you to write it down longhand in a notebook every single day. And just play this little practice with me and see what happens. And I'm excited to see what will happen for you. I'm excited to see what will happen for me to make our last 60 our best 60. Thank you again for tuning in and for letting me be a part of your life in this way. And please comment or email me if you have any questions. And if some days you get behind, feel free to catch up on the days that you have a little bit more time, or just keep on going. Like, one day is not going to depend on a day. These days are consecutive, but they're not dependent on last days. So really want to make it helpful and useful to you.